So we are going to go ahead and get started now. My name is Ben Gubitz from American Promise. Very happy to have everybody on the call today. Sorry, I'm just going to mute a couple folks that haven't muted themselves. And this is a volunteer training for the People Govern Not Money ballot initiative in 2018 for the 2018 ballot. Just a quick update before we get started. The Secretary of State's office released a electronic version of the petition for circulation last Friday. And we're waiting on the official printouts of all the petitions from the Secretary of State's office, and I'm going to get into that here in just a little bit. But the campaign is underway for signature gathering, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about what this campaign entails. But first, I'm going to just do a little bit of background, and again, I'd like to keep this open and conversational, so if you have a question or a comment, just unmute yourself and go ahead and chime in. But again, I really can't thank folks enough for being on the call tonight and willing to participate in this historic campaign to get money out of politics.
I do have a quick question.
Sure, shoot.
Hi, thanks. I was at the meeting in Concord a few weeks ago, and I was introduced to a woman that was, I guess, the regional the regional coordinator, we never exchanged emails, so I'm sort of flying a little blind. I don't know who to contact.
Yeah, understand. Yeah, yep, I'm with you. We're going to get into that a little bit later in the call, so you can just hold that question. That'd be great. And
okay,
then, and then bring it up a little bit later in the call because I'm going to do a very quick presentation, and then we're going to open it up for all of those types of questions. So real quickly, the goals for tonight is just a history, very quick, of where we are today and why so much money and power is in the hands of a few, and where this phenomenon came from. We're going to talk about the Massachusetts ballot initiative, how and where and what, how do we collect signatures, et cetera, and we're going to talk about how we're actually going to win this campaign to get this on the ballot in 2018. And so just a real quick background. I'm sure that this is going to be review for a lot of folks on the call, but if you're brand new to this, essentially what we're fighting against is this concentrated money and power within our elections and government. And so in 2010, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in the Citizens United case that corporations and big money to interests had the right to spend as much as they wanted in our elections. So this ruling really opened the floodgates for big money in all forms, whether it's billionaires or corporations, unions, et cetera, to have the right to pour as much money into our elections as they wanted. And so Citizens United was really the final straw in a long series of cases empowering corporations and big money of control of our political system. And so hence, it's really, the flood of spending that we've seen is escalating every year in our elections. And so to get power back to the people, we need to overturn Citizens United with the 28th Amendment so we can get this big money out of our political system. And again, I'll just reiterate, Citizens United didn't create this issue of big money in politics. It's this and corporate overreach in our government that's really started in the 70s and has been kind of bending that way in our democracy ever since. And so what I want to do real quick, and again, when we get to the Q&A section, if anyone has any further questions about Citizens United or what the case was all about or what it meant, please come on back to me and ask those questions. But to overturn Citizens United, to overturn any Supreme Court decision, we need a constitutional amendment. To get a constitutional amendment, we need 2/3 of Congress to vote on an amendment proposal. That's 67 in the Senate, 290 in the House. And then once Congress does that, it goes back to the states for ratification, where 3/4 of the states are needed to ratify, and that's 38 states. So quick review, 2/3 of Congress to send the amendment to the states for ratification, and that's three-fourths of the states, or 38 states, to ratify that. That's exactly what we're fighting for. That's what this ballot initiative is in support of. And so in Massachusetts, we've got quite a bit of support here. 200 towns, 207 towns to be precise, have passed local resolutions in favor of this policy, and our state legislature passed a ruling in 2012 in support of the 28th Amendment. I'm going to talk about why we need to double down on that effort with this ballot initiative here in just a quick second. But the reason why we need this ballot initiative in 2018 is it gives everyone in Massachusetts, all voters, 4.5 million people in this state, a voice and a vote to stand up and say, all at one time, all with one voice, that we support the 28th Amendment and that we demand that our elected officials do something about it. It helps us spread the word and educate the people in our community. It really helps us keep the pressure on our elected officials across partisan divides. And what it does is it will create a citizen commission to hold our politicians' feet to the fire and report to the facts to the people. So what this ballot initiative does, it establishes a nonpartisan citizen commission to enforce the policy of Massachusetts in favor of this reform, right? So the Citizen Commission is tasked with issuing reports on money in politics in Massachusetts, making recommendations on the amendment, and ensuring swift ratification for when that actually does come back to the states for ratification after Congress. So again, any questions around that, I'm happy to answer when we get to more of the Q&A session. But what the ballot initiative says essentially is, and I can send around the actual language after this call as well, but the Citizen Commission is 15 Massachusetts citizens appointed by the governor, the Secretary of State, the Speaker of the House, the Attorney General, and the President of the Senate. And the idea is that this commission will advance the policies of Massachusetts in favor of the 28th Amendment to affirm that corporations are not people and to get concentrated big money out of our politics. So the commission, like I said before, will hold our elected officials' feet to the fire, keeping this issue at the forefront of their agendas and report factual information to the citizens. And the commission's transparent and open to all. So that's a brief summary of the wording. And again, I know I'm going through this relatively quickly. But what do we need to do to get this on the ballot? Well, state law for the 2018 election cycle mandates that we get 64,750 verified signatures. These are signatures from registered voters all across the Commonwealth. Now, we know that we need to get a little bit more than that because some signatures will be invalid, whether it's that person isn't registered to vote or the signature pages have been tampered with. So our target is 90,000 and even a little bit more total signatures. So that's 90,000 signatures across the state. And we have a deadline, again, mandated by the Secretary of State's office of November 22nd. So we have between now and November 22nd to collect 90,000 signatures. And so it sounds like a lot, but we can do this. Many organizations have done this before, and what's great about this effort is that it's an all-volunteer effort, right? We're not paying millions of dollars to signature gatherers to get out there and do this for us. It's an all-volunteer effort, and so the way that the math works out is we need about 900 or so volunteers to help collect 90,000 signatures. It's about 100 signatures each over the course of about 9 weeks or so. And so it's critical that everyone on this call contact your friends, your family, contacts around the state, et cetera. And besides signature gathering, there's other jobs that need being done as well, like delivering the petitions from town clerks for verification and getting the signature papers to where they need to be, like couriers, et cetera. But really the bottom line is to collect those signatures. And so really there's kind of 5 steps here, and we call them baby steps really, but it's pretty easy to get started. So number 1, know the rules for signatures. Everyone that's out collecting signatures will have a rule sheet with them attached to a clipboard, and it clearly outlines where you're able to collect and your rules and rights to actually collect. Next step is to practice the pitch. The other thing that you'll be receiving along with the petitions and the rules is a script, so you can kind of rehearse your pitch on how you're going to be speaking to this with folks on the street or your neighbors or your family members. And so practicing and honing that pitch really makes a big difference. Number 3 is get out there and gather the signatures. Again, we need as many signatures as possible. And so just getting out there, and I understand that it's going to be a little bit scary at times for some folks, but once you have your pitch down and you know your rules, you should be good to go. And then the final step is returning the completed petitions to your district and regional captain. The gentleman that asked the question before that didn't know who that was, we're going to talk a little bit about that. So real quick before we get into some of the do's and don'ts for signature gathering, let's pause here, and then we're going to pick it up in a minute. But let's pause here for any questions that folks might have as of yet, and I'm happy to answer them.
Yes, I have a question. The sheet of information from the Secretary of State that you are going to pass on to us, does that have on it the actual function and behavior of the Citizens Commission? Does it say exactly what they will do? Okay, good.
It does. Yeah, it does. So the petitions that are circulated, right, these are the official petition forms that come from the Secretary of State's office. The Attorney General prepares a summary to go on the petition, and it's right on every single petition page that's printed. And within that summary, there is details around what the Citizen Commission is tasked with doing. Okay. In addition to that, you'll have talking points ready and accessible and printed out for you as well in a sheet. So, but it will be, the summary will be right there on the printed out petitions that we'll be getting signatures on.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. What other questions are out there that I can answer right now before we move on?
Ben, this is Karen from Concord. Just a quick question. You mentioned earlier that that Citizens United was kind of, one of many efforts to, kind of interfere with by corporate and so on. So is this amendment going to address some of those other kind of advances that were made, or is it just turning over Citizens United?
Yeah, the idea that the 28th Amendment overturned Citizens United and related cases like Buckley v. Vallejo in the 70s, the McCutcheon ruling shortly after Citizens United, the Bank of Boston versus Bellotti, which was a corporate rights case. And so the idea being that the 28th Amendment removes, replaces back into the Constitution these ideas of limits on political spending, as well as limits on what corporations can do constitutionally. So great question. What else? Other questions out there?
So unions as well, union money?
Yep, money coming in, big money in all forms. While unions, don't necessarily do this at the same level as, say, the Koch brothers, the 28th Amendment would address big money coming in from all, from all sources, including individuals.
And I have a question too. I believe I know the answer to this, but I just want to get clear on this about that. I know there were some people I talked to that had a concern about that this could open the gates of hell and that the Koch brothers get in there and destroy our Constitution. But the wording on this is such that all that it can do is refer to this exact thing that we're talking about getting the big money out of.
Yeah,
make
exactly.
myself clear?
I think that, you did. And just to clarify for other folks on the phone, so there are actually two ways to amend the Constitution. One is through Congress. One is through a convention of states, into where you need 34 states to call a convention. or what's called an amendments convention. And then whatever is decided at that convention would still go back to the states for ratification, where you'd still need 38 states to ratify those amendments. This proposal is not calling for any convention. That's what you're we've never had a constitutional convention since the original one in 1789, when we had the first 10 amendments to the Constitution established. But that's what you're referring to, and I think that's the worry that you're referring to, that the Kochs could, get a constitutional convention and rewrite the Constitution. That is not what we're doing with this ballot initiative, and this ballot initiative is really using the power of our voice to tell Congress that we want this done, as opposed to using the Convention of the States. Did that clarify that for you?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Ben, did you? I don't know if you mentioned this earlier in the call. I missed a few minutes, but how many states have already succeeded in getting the signatures that they need? Is this going to be a 50 state?
It is. So here's the deal: is 19 states across the country have called on Congress to send back to the states for ratification a 28th Amendment to overturn Citizens United and related cases. 4 of those states have done so by ballot initiative. That's Montana and Colorado in 2012, and California and Washington recently in the last 2016 cycle. So only 4 have done this by ballot initiative. Wyoming and Massachusetts in 2018 will be 5 and 6 to do this. I'll also just note that not every state in the union allows for the citizen initiative process. So we're quite lucky in Massachusetts that we get to do this. Only 24 states in the union allow for the citizen initiative process. So you can't pass a ballot initiative in half the states, unfortunately. In those cases, we're doing state legislative resolutions. As I mentioned, 19 have had these resolutions, 4 by ballot initiative, and the rest by state legislatures.
Wow. Okay.
Hello, this is Richard Kelleher from Concord or Acton, but I've been working with Wolfpack on the Convention of the States approach, and it's just for the record, there is a opinion of the Attorney General of the U.S., a rather lengthy researched opinion that comes to the conclusion that it's possible to have a convention and be assured that it will not be a runaway convention. In other words, a convention can only do what is specified.
Yeah.
So if we forgot to specify,
exactly.
we would be in trouble. But we won't forget to specify.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. I'd like to, and if it's okay, direct some of the questions and comments around the training for the ballot initiative itself, which doesn't have a lot to do with the convention, and we can have the discussion around strategy and stuff as well. But perhaps that's a topic for a different call. But thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it, and certainly support the efforts that Wolfpack and others are doing all around the country. Other questions?
Do you know when the ballots are going to be delivered?
We got word from the Secretary of State's office that it will be before this Friday. So it could be tomorrow, could be Thursday, could be Friday morning. I imagine that it will most likely be tomorrow or Thursday, at which point we'll be picking the signatures or the papers up, the petitions up, and then taking them to our statewide volunteer coordinator's house, Larry Scarf, who's an amazing volunteer who's helping to run the signature gathering campaign. And then from there, they'll be distributed out to all of the different parts of the states to the regional and district captain's house. And then your regional and district captain will be reaching out to you directly to come and pick up the signatures. So
I am a district captain, so
great.
Great. And I have a town hall on Friday, so I'm really hoping to have ballots in my hand to be able to get signatures there.
Yeah, me too. And who's that, by the way? What's your name?
My name is Karen Lindstrom. I'm out in the Berkshires.
Oh, Karen. Yeah, hi Karen. Hi Karen. Great to hear
Hi.
from you. Yeah, we hope to have him before Friday as well, because also we have the Granny D events and lots of other stuff going on. And
yeah.
I think it's likely that tomorrow or Thursday
Good.
is a pretty good bet. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, that's Mireille. I was contacted to that effect. I was contacted yesterday because I am also a district captain and I will act as distributor. And I was told that it was going to be dropped at my home either yesterday or tomorrow. Today or
yeah, dropped out. Correct. So district captains, exactly. So it will be dropped at your home either tomorrow,
today
Thursday,
or tomorrow.
Or well, not today. Being as it's already too late for that. But and we don't have the petitions. But either Wednesday or Thursday or early Friday morning.
Okay.
Okay, other questions. These are great questions. Let's keep them going. Okay. If not, we can go on. And if you have questions, again, feel free to shout it out anytime. So let's talk a little bit about the do's and the don'ts of collecting signatures. We certainly want to make sure. Oops, hear a little bit of background. If someone wouldn't mind muting themselves. Hold on just a second. That might be. Okay. All right, I got it on my end. Sorry. Trying to manage a couple things at the same time here. So sorry about that. So we certainly want to make sure that as we're out collecting signatures, we want to ask people not only to sign, but to volunteer for the campaign as well. We need a lot more volunteers to be successful in this effort. It's important to be assertive, but friendly and kind. We want to make sure that the person out there collecting signatures fills out the box. There's a box on each petition for each city and town. So let me explain this a little bit. We can't have signatures from folks from different towns on the same page. Okay, so if I'm in Boston and I collect a signature from someone who's a registered voter in Boston, and then the next person that comes up is a registered voter from Somerville, for example, I have to use a completely different signature page, and that would be a signature page. So I can't have one sheet that has a voter from Boston on it, a signature from Cambridge or Somerville or Acton or wherever. Each town needs to have its own separate page. The reason for that is each of those pages goes to that town clerk for verification to make sure that that person is registered to vote as they sign. So keep that in mind as we're out collecting signatures. We would like to start a new page after collecting 10 signatures. I believe there's roughly about 25 slots on each petition page to get 25 names. However, the rules in Massachusetts are very strict about something called stray marks. And again, you're going to have, when you pick up your packet and your clipboard, there's information about this stray mark ruling in there, but I'll just go over it briefly. This basically says if there's any kind of stray mark, whether it's a squiggly line or underline something in the summary, or the pen accidentally slips or it's not working and someone does a little scribble, that entire sheet would be rendered invalid by the Secretary of State's office. It's called the stray mark rule. So to mitigate some of the problems that might create is we're asking folks to just do 5 to 10 signatures per sheet. We'll have plenty of sheets, and that way if you spill water on it or if there's a stray mark or something like that, we're only throwing out 5 signatures that are invalid as opposed to 25. So we're asking folks to really be vigilant about only doing about 5 to 10 signatures on each sheet. And again, this is so important, keeping it perfectly clean. No stray marks of any kind. Really, just the person, the town, the person's name, their address, and that's it. All within the box that's allowed. When you see the petitions, and if you're seeing the screen share, this is a sample petition. At the bottom, you see the box that has the spot for the town, and then you see here that there is, and then you see here that you have the boxes for the names and the address, and you don't need to worry about the ward and precinct. So that's really all we're putting on there. Again, no underlines, no scribbles, no stray marks of any kind, or else the whole sheet, unfortunately, will be thrown out.
Did they care what color pen you use?
Yep, I think it's as long as it's not red. I think you can use blue or black ink.
Okay. Thank you.
As long as it's not red. Yep, blue or black ink.
And do they ask for the precinct?
No.
They ask for the precinct. They ask for the precinct, but you don't need to have it on there. Okay, so it asks for your ward or precinct, but that person doesn't need to know. So it's
okay.
It's a spot on the page, but it doesn't need to be filled out.
I'm on the website, but I can't see any of your visuals. It says PGNM statewide.
Yeah, a few folks are having that technical difficulty as well. I'm
Yeah.
going to be sending around a YouTube video that will show the visuals. There's about half the folks on the call that aren't able to do that for some reason or another, and I apologize for the technical difficulty. And there'll be another opportunity to do this as well. The statewide webinar moving forward. So those are some do's, some don'ts. No extra marks, like I said. One town only per sheet. Don't print the signature sheet yourself or try to make a copy of it. Again, these are if the copier has, say, a little bit of dirt, on it, and it picks up a little speckle of dirt on the copies, all of those sheets that you then printed out would be rendered invalid because the little speckle. Again, that's how technical they are at the Secretary of State's office. So we're encouraging folks not to make copies of their own, that if you do need extra petition sheets, to let your district or regional captain know, and we'll make sure that you get those. And so the other thing is that's really important that I'd just like to go over real quick is when we're out there, like I mentioned before, the recruiting of more volunteers is really critical, especially at the beginning of this campaign. So if we find someone that is engaged and they want to sign and they're excited and this sounds great, we really want to try to sign them up to volunteer right on the spot. Most of us have smartphones. If not, that's okay. You can write down their information. But if you have a smartphone, you can just go to peoplegovernnotmoney.org, and there's a volunteer sign-up form right on that page. And again, if you're accessing the screen share and can see it, I took a screenshot of what this looks like. And then there's a spot for them to just fill out their information, so they get plugged right into the system, and then their district or regional captain can reach out to them right away to plug them into the campaign. So if we got a hot lead on a volunteer, it's really important to not let that person get away without getting their information, because I think you'll be surprised that when you're out there, there's going to be a lot of folks that are fired up about this and want to help, and that might not have known about it before. This is a hot issue. 8 out of 10 Americans agree with this 28th Amendment to overturn Citizens United, including Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. So there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to say, "Wow, this is great. I want to help." And so we want to make sure that we get those volunteers the best we can. Again, if you're not accessing the screen share, you can write this down. It's peoplegovernnotmoney.org. If you pull that up on your phone, there's a volunteer tab right there on the menu. Hit the volunteer tab, and then there's fields to fill out: the first name, last name, email, phone number, city and town, and then obviously state. And you can have them plug that in, or you can plug it in for them. So I think that's really a a lot of just kind of the bare bones and nitty gritty that I wanted to get across tonight. Again, I'm sure there's probably quite a few outstanding questions that I'd love to clarify. But again, this is, we only have a very limited amount of time, about 9 weeks to collect all of these signatures. And so it's going to seem like a little bit of an intense campaign, but luckily it's a short campaign. And once we get those signatures, we'll be ready to go. So certainly encouraging, folks to think about this as an all hands on deck. If you have, a kid in high school that wants to get out and collect signatures with his or her buddies, that would be wonderful. If you have, aunts or uncles or grandparents that want to get involved, great. We're going to need everyone, because this is a big effort. It's no easy task to get anything on the ballot. So, we usually get 3 or 4 questions, per cycle, and this is why there's only usually 3 or 4, because it's so many signatures in such a short period of time. So, so big thanks to all, and hopefully we can get some of your friends and family involved as well. So I'm going to stop there for now, and would love to just open it back up for any questions that folks might have or concerns that people might have on the call.
Hi. So I said this before. My biggest concern is not really. Captain. Yes, big time, because
yes.
I did go to the website. I volunteered twice. I had to literally track Larry down at his home to say, please use me.
Yeah, great.
So
I'm glad that you're so committed, and appreciate you being vigilant about that. So you will receive an email from the district captain. If you haven't already, if you can send me an email, beng@americanpromise.net. Again, it's beng@americanpromise.net. And if you don't receive an email from your district or regional captain in the next day, I'll make sure to get you linked up.
Okay. I really thought I would have been contacted already, so I'm not all that hopeful. So I'll send that to you.
Yep. Well, you have to understand that there are some gaps in the state where there's not a district or a district captain, and so that potentially is the case. There's not a lot of gaps, but there are a couple. But just to make sure that you don't fall through the cracks, go ahead and shoot me an email, and I'll make sure to get you linked up.
All right.
Ben, I'm just a volunteer. This is Richard Kelleher. Will someone be getting in touch with me with the forms?
Yes, absolutely. So someone will be, again, your district or regional captain will be sending you an email shortly within the next day or two. And from that point in time, they'll let you know where the distribution point is so you can pick up and get the petitions.
Are you going to let people know who their district captains are so I can make sure I put their name and my email address so that it doesn't go into junk?
That would be a hard thing to do on this call right now, just because there's a lot of folks on there and a lot of different regional and district captains. But I would encourage you to check your junk or spam folder and keep an eye out for it. And if you don't see it in the next day or two, feel free to shoot me an email, beng@americanpromise.net, and I can make sure to get you linked up if you miss it.
Okay.
Ben? Yeah. Ben?
So I have a question.
Yes,
Hello?
please.
So are you saying that the only way that we can be connected with the captain is by signing up on the website?
That's right. Yeah, by signing up on the website, peoplegovernNotMoney.org. Otherwise, we wouldn't know who to contact. So if you can go ahead and sign up on the website if you haven't already, and make sure to put in your town and zip code so we know which district or regional captain to link you up with. That would be helpful.
If I've been connected with my captain, but I recruit other people to get signatures, I know for them who the captain is. Do they also need to put their name on the website? Is there a reason for doing that?
There is, so we can track the volunteers to make sure that folks are getting connected with the right people. And again, it really helps to understand where we are, statewide in terms of volunteer goals. So yeah, it's important that folks sign up. And It shouldn't.
Okay.
It shouldn't. It's a matter of just a couple minutes.
Okay,
Question.
thank you.
But great question. Great question.
Do the signers need to be registered voters in their town?
Right. Folks that sign the petition need to be registered voters in their town. That's right.
Okay.
So
we don't
the people collecting the.
Go ahead.
Or do we make them sign and encourage them to register? I mean, what do we do with those unregistered people? Do we just ignore them, or we encourage them to register and have them sign? Or
if you have a stack of, you can download a stack of voter registration forms from the Secretary of State's office, have them fill out a voter registration form, and have them simultaneously fill out the petition. However, the timing could be difficult because that voter registration has to be processed before that signature is verified by the town clerk. So it can be difficult. Plus, it's worth it to get people registered to vote, and it's worth a shot. But no guarantee that it'll count. I've seen it work in the past and seen it not work in the past.
The people gathering the signatures, do they have to be registered voters?
No.
Okay,
nope.
so anybody can gather.
Anybody can circulate. You can be out of state. You can be underage. It doesn't matter. Anybody can circulate petitions.
Okay.
Which is interesting. Massachusetts is one of the few states that's the case. But you can, literally anybody can circulate the petition.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Ben. This is
great question.
Bonnie. Hi.
Hi.
This is Bonnie. And a question for those of us who are volunteers and, of course, also want to sign the petition. Does it matter if we sign one of our own petitions versus somebody else's? Is there any peculiarities about that?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you repeat it?
Sure. I'm a volunteer, and I'm going to be collecting signatures. I also want to be a registered voter counted on one of the petitions. Can I sign one of my own petitions?
Oh, yeah, of course.
No matter. Okay, I just didn't know if there was any peculiarities about that. Okay.
Oh, no, great question, but definitely not. Certainly encourage you to be the first signature on that petition form.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Great question, though. Let's keep it going. I think this is really helpful.
I do not have a question, but I have a hint. I happen to have been collecting signatures this weekend in Concord. I'm not sure, but we were lucky. We had some petitions. And something which happened to me that I would let you know, because I probably lost some signatures before that, and maybe the whole sheet, and I'm not sure. People insisted to put the town next to the address. In the box for the address, they would put this, and then they put Concord. And in doing that, so we have to be very clear to tell them just the street.
Just the street address, correct, because the town is that entire sheet will be for that town. So there's no need to put the town in the address field, just the street address.
And another thing which happened to one of my colleagues, wrote the town on the face of the form. She didn't write it right away on the back. And then as she was looking, we ended up with several of these forms for other towns. She used that form from the back and entered.
And the towns didn't match up. Right, yes. I get it. So I believe I heard about this. In one case, they was Concord on the front and Maynard on the back or something like that. And so
it helps if you write the back.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to make sure that as people are signing, we're watching what they're doing, not making stray marks, not not making any remarks in the box where we put the town name. Only the circulator should be filling that information. So we just have to watch folks as they're signing and make sure they're just putting their name and just putting their street address, and that's it.
Can you elaborate with illegible signatures?
Right.
We press to people that we need a legible signature, but people end up just signing and they kind of don't read it. It's okay to ask them to print next to it as long as they are in the box?
Correct. If they have, that's another great question. So if someone has, an illegible signature, it's okay to ask them to print their name next to that signature, and as long as it remains within that little box that's provided.
If somebody doesn't have any space, is it possible to ask them to make another entry?
That's fine. They can move on down to the next box and make another entry, but it would still obviously just be counted as one, and we just have to pay close attention that they're not doing anything outside of the box. So if they mess up, don't scribble, don't do anything like that, don't cross it out, just move on down to the next box and have them fill out the next box.
And that illegible entries would not invalidate the sheet?
No, as long as the town clerk, the address is the most important thing, and if the town clerk can make it out, let's say my name is Ben. Let's say I do a big B and then scribble the rest of my signature and then my street address. The town clerk can look it up, look at my address, see that there's a registered voter there with the first initial of their first name as B for Ben, and that would qualify the signature. If it's completely illegible, they won't qualify it. But if there are, if you can make out the letters within the signature, they'll qualify it.
Thank you.
What are you recommending in terms of the number of deliveries and pickups from the town clerk?
Yeah, what am I recommending in terms of the number of pickups and deliveries? So as soon as possible, right? So we don't want to just wait till the end and then do big one dump off at the town clerk. I'm recommending that district and regional captains do it as soon as possible. So as soon as petitions come in, maybe the next day you take them to the town clerk for certification, and then pick them up and then take them back. And there are some town clerks that will wait until the end of the process, unfortunately, to certify petitions, but it's rare, and so I'm early and often is my recommendation for district and regional captains and couriers to make those drop-offs at town clerks.
Well, suppose there's one petition person in an outlying area. Is it all right if that person collects the petitions and takes them to the town clerk, and then the distribution coordinator goes and just picks up the final thing from that person?
So it's not ideal. It's ideal that all the petitions, as soon as they're done signing, go back to the district and regional captains, so the district and regional captain can report it, so we can keep track of all the signatures, right? So if someone takes a whole boatload of signatures to the town clerk, and we don't have any reporting on it, and then let's say they forget to pick them up or something like that, then they're just sitting at town clerk, and we got a bunch of signatures that aren't accounted for. So the way that we can account for everything is getting them back to the distribution point where that district or regional captain is, so they can then report it, and we have a reporting document that they do that in, and it helps for accountability and transparency of where all of the signatures are in the state. That's the ideal scenario. Now, certainly some folks are going to take it to town clerk directly, and whether we tell them not to or not, that's just going to happen. But in the ideal scenario, they'll go out, collect signatures, return it to the district captain, and then the district captain will work on couriers to the town clerks.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Well, Yeah, it did. You said earlier that you're going to distribute to us the names of the district and regional captains?
Nope. I'm actually, just to clarify, I think the district captains will be reaching out to you. The district and regional captains will be reaching out to you based on where you live. So
well,
that's the way
I've had
that
a phone call.
We'll contact them.
The person simply wanted to know where to drop them off.
Yep. Okay, so that was probably a phone call from your district or regional captain. And so, did you have a conversation with that person?
Well, I told them where to drop them off. That's all.
Okay, great. Yeah, great. That's great. I mean, ideally, it will be in one central location, and I think that we'll have a conversation with other district and regional captains to have people come pick them up at that location as opposed to delivering petitions around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have to have a larger conversation about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly.
Ben,
what other questions? Yeah.
Just to go back to delivering the forms. If we have some towns which are very close, then I assume that we will bring captain or whoever does it in one district will go to the different towns. But
right.
One signature for one town up in the Berkshire, do we have a mechanism to get that form to the captain in the Berkshire?
That's a great question, and that's going to be depend on where that signature is, whether there's a courier there or whether there's a district captain there that's willing to make the drive out for that signature. It's probably not the best use of time for someone to drive all the way across the state for one signature. I guess ideally I can, and again, that's a good question that I haven't thought of, but I can imagine that further along in the campaign, we can have maybe one central meetup point that district captains can meet up and exchange papers. If someone in the Berkshires has something from, Concord or vice versa, we can maybe do a central meetup point in Worcester and exchange papers, something like that. I don't know. I haven't thought about that, to be perfectly honest. It's a great question, and we'll work on it.
Okay.
Can we mail them? Can we use
mailing is okay? Sure, mailing is okay. I would recommend mailing to the district or regional captain, though, and not to the town clerk. Okay, so we can't mail petitions to the town clerk. We have to drop them off in person. So we have to mail those petitions to the regional or district captains, and that's a great idea.
And I had to come in on the call late, but I'm wondering if you've gone through the spiel that you might recommend we use when we reach out to people.
I haven't gone through the spiel. I have not gone through the spiel. I would love to go through the spiel. And so this is sorry, I'm just going to try to mute someone. Again, if you're not talking, can you please go ahead and mute your phone so there's not a lot of background noise. So I know that we have some folks out there that have already collected signatures and have done the spiel, and I'm hoping that I can get 2 volunteers to do a bit of a role play on here. And so if I can ask someone to be the signee and someone to be the person out there getting signatures, that would be great. And then we can kind of talk about it and coach them a little bit. So is there anybody, speak up if you're willing to be the petitioner?
I will do it.
Okay, great.
That is Mireille.
Marielle will be the petitioner, and then will someone be the signee? And don't be shy. Okay, great.
I'll
and
be
who is
the
that?
signee. Margaret Riss.
Oh, hi, Margaret. Okay, welcome. Thank you for being brave. All right. So the scenario is Muriel is outside of a grocery store. She's collecting petitions. and then Margaret is going to walk on up as an unsuspecting shopper that's heading on in to get some dinner for the family.
Let me preface, we decided in our group to make it very short at the beginning so that people don't walk away. So what I would do is just get to somebody and say, hello, I am collecting signature today.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry. I'm in a very big hurry. What's it all about?
It's our opportunity to get big money out of politics. And we are collecting signature to be able to put the petition on the ballot in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. Well, how many other states? This is a big issue. How many other states are dealing with this?
At that point, we would be the 20th state, which is a very many states already. So we should have Massachusetts participate.
Okay. So that was great. That was great. Let's do another one. But if there's any feedback, and if I can just throw in one point of clarification. So Massachusetts is already one of those 19 states that have passed a resolution calling for the 28th Amendment. However, it was done through the state legislature. So this ballot initiative would not make Massachusetts the 20th state, as Massachusetts is already included in that 19. So just a clarification point. But that was wonderful. Folks should give them a round of applause for being brave and awesome. But is there anyone on the call that would like to give them a little bit of feedback?
I thought she should ask whether they're a registered voter because...
Oh, yes, absolutely. No, but that was just the introduction.
Yes. Registered voter, asking whether they're a registered voter is a great idea. And that's usually what I open with when I'm out on the street collecting signatures. Hi, excuse me, are you a registered voter? And, followed up quite quickly with, great, we're out here collecting signatures to get money out of politics. Do you want to help? Right? Something along those lines. It's very quick, very to the point. Again, when you ask them if they're a registered voter, their mind is already shifted to, okay, someone's going to talk, something, civic or political with me. And so it's a great opener. Again,
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when you say get big money out of politics, that's a pretty big statement. Is there a quick, succinct way of kind of, if a person says, what does that mean? That'll never happen. How do you respond to that?
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah. To tell you that very, very few people. I don't know. Maybe we were in a very good district. Concord is a very good city to be here in. The majority of people were very happy with it. And the majority of the people say, oh, I certainly would sign for that.
Yeah.
I had only one person who challenged me, and was not challenging me in case of, that's not a good thing. But it's going to be very, very difficult. It was to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So I agree that I think that's rare that someone will do challenge, but that will happen certainly. People have asked me, and so I think that's a perfect opportunity. That's a perfect opportunity to describe what the ballot initiative is. We're out here collecting signatures to place a question on the ballot in favor of a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United in related cases that said that that money was free speech and corporations are people. And I think it's a perfect opportunity, and you'll have this in your talking points, to describe a little bit about what the ballot initiative does. So when people say that's a big thing, how do we do that? You can tell them exactly how by the constitutional amendment process and essentially, the nitty-gritty of the ballot initiative. And it's a great opportunity to educate folks on what the ballot initiative is. So I would welcome that kind of that kind of comment or challenge.
Could you say that over and say it slower, what your response would be?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I would say something along the lines of, that's a great question. It is a big, it is a big lift to get the big money out of politics, but that's what we're out here doing. We're out here collecting signatures in support of a 28th Amendment to overturn Citizens United that allowed for big money in politics, that said that money is speech and corporations are people. So we're out here collecting signatures in favor of this 28th Amendment that would overturn Citizens United, that would then help get big money out of politics. Something around those lines. And then again, you'll have some good talking points with you, and then right there in the summary should describe, if folks want to read it and find out a little bit more detail about the Citizens Commission and what the ballot initiative does, et cetera. And so again, yeah, you're welcome. And again, I wouldn't shy away from answering those kind of questions, because part of the wonderful opportunity that we have with this ballot initiative is having conversations with our neighbors about this important issue, right? It's one thing to get on the ballot, but if we can talk to 90,000 people in the state and educate them on the issue, well, then we've really done our job.
Then will the talking points you're referring to, will they have instances of other amendments that people, took efforts to make happen, so that we can sort of have a convincing, argument there?
They don't. Currently, they don't. I think that's an interesting. It's an interesting suggestion to have something that kind of lets people know that this is what we do as Americans. Historically, we pass amendments. When the Supreme Court gets it wrong, when the Supreme Court said that women have no right to vote, or that African Americans could never be citizens, or that a poll tax was acceptable, or that 18, 19, and 20-year-olds could go off to war but couldn't vote, et cetera. All of those things really, and more, seven amendments have come from overturning Supreme Court decisions. There's a phenomenal video about this with Doris Kearns Goodwin on the American Promise YouTube channel that talks about a lot of the other amendments that have been passed in our history, and gives it a really nice historical context. So if that's something that you're interested in and that you think would be valuable when you're talking to other folks on the street, I recommend that you check that video out on YouTube. Again, it's American Promise's YouTube channel, and it's the Doris Kearns Goodwin video, and it goes through the whole history of other amendments and how folks have done this in the past.
Great. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Hi. I'd like to add to that. I was tabling for Represent Us last weekend, and so I used it as an opportunity to talk to people about the ballot initiative. And I heard from a lot of people that going for a constitutional amendment was quaint. Like, weren't we cute to try this? And I asked them, when do they think the last amendment was? And they all looked at me blankly. And when I said 1992, they were very surprised. And I said, before that, 1971. I said, we do this when we get off track. We're off track now. And I said, what it takes to do it is for people not to say it can't be done, but we demand it. We need numbers we can't ignore. And then I saw this light go off, and people got interested who were thinking, sweet that you're doing this, but, good luck. Yeah. So it's very. That was amazing. Yeah.
That was amazing. That was so much more eloquently put than I put it. So
that was excellent.
For that. Yeah, that was incredible. And it's true. We passed 12 amendments in the 20th century. So that should give folks a good idea.
History, but yeah.
Right. Exactly. And the video that I was just talking about before describes that as well. It's a great video. I recommend that folks watch it.
I wonder if somebody is sort of vehemently against it. I mean, this is an opportunity to get it on the ballot. We're not passing the law in the street, right? So we can get it on the ballot, and if you like, you can vote against it.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's really about process.
It's about process. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So by getting this initiative on the ballot, we'll not passed the constitutional amendment, and I think that's great. If someone says, hey, I'm not really against this, or I'm against this, there's only so much convincing that we'll be able to do. Again, I think that's a rare occasion that we'll come across folks that say that, but say, hey, listen, we should let the voters decide. Would you mind, signing here and letting giving some of your fellow citizens a voice in that? Something like that.
Ben, could I make a pitch for the People Govern Not Money website? Because there's so much really good information on there. There's the videos and the training video. It's really good to noodle around on that website and just dig up information. The ballot summary is on there. A lot of good stuff on there.
Absolutely. Is that Nancy?
Yeah.
Nancy, thank you. Yes, peoplegovernNotMoney.org. A wealth of information on that website that folks can go to that's very helpful. peoplegovernNotMoney.org. Should we try one more role play? Now that, especially because I know Nancy just chimed in, and Nancy's already been out collecting signatures for this. Nancy, would you want to do a quick role play?
Sure. Put me on the spot there.
I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but that's okay. So Nancy, if you wouldn't mind being the petitioner, and if someone else wouldn't mind being the signee, we'll do one more quick role play. Anyone brave enough? You're going to get everyone off the hook, and everyone's going to love you.
Hi, I'll be willing to be a signee. This is Bonnie.
Okay. And hi, Bonnie.
Hey, Bonnie.
Okay. All right, go for it.
All right. So, hi there. Could you sign this petition to help get big money out of politics?
Yeah. Where's the petition going to go to, or who's going to do what with these signatures?
Those signatures are going to go to get an initiative on the Massachusetts ballot for 2018 in support of overturning Citizens United and getting a 28th Amendment to get money out of politics. Are you a registered voter here in Concord?
I am a registered voter in another town.
Oh, okay. Would you be willing to sign the petition to get this question on the ballot?
So it's just to get the question on the ballot. Absolutely. I'm in support of it completely.
Yeah, great. Okay. Let me just go to this page. Which town are you registered in?
In Devon.
In Devon. Okay, great. If you could just sign here, just put your signature here, and if you can write it really neatly, that would be great. The clerk has to be able to read it.
Okay. I'll be careful. All right.
Okay, great. Thanks. And then put your street address right here.
Okay. Do I need to put city, state?
Nope, you don't have to put any of that. It's already written on the page. Everybody else on your page is going to be from your town too. So you don't, just your street address is all I need.
Okay, great. That's it?
Wonderful. That's it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm glad you're doing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to help us do signatures? Are you interested in volunteering at all to help this effort?
What would be involved?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. We're gathering 90,000 signatures to get this question on the ballot. So it's a really big effort, and we need people to gather signatures, which is probably our biggest push. But then there's some other volunteer jobs that you can do too. You can work on the computer. There's other jobs that you can do too. But if you're interested, I can sign you up and you'll be contacted by your captain. You want to sign up right here? Here, I've got a smartphone. I can sign you right up on the volunteer list. Here, you can put your name right here.
Okay. I'd absolutely be willing to help out. This is
fabulous.
What I care a lot about. Okay.
Fantastic. Here, you can sign right up here on the smartphone, and it will put you into the volunteer pool, and somebody will contact you within the next couple of days about volunteering. That's fantastic. Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. You're welcome. And
I bet I've got other friends who'd be willing to help out too. So what's
awesome.
What's the place that I'd tell them to go to sign up?
Well, it's the website People Govern Not Money, and it's the volunteer page there. And when your area captain contacts you, they'll be able to connect you with that too. And here, I have a card here with the website on it. Here, you can take this card and
excellent.
show that to your friends. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank
you. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I maybe we'll bump into you soon with a clipboard. Thanks so much.
Okay. My pleasure.
All right.
Good luck today.
Hey, Nancy, real quick, are you the captain for Littleton, Acton area?
Littleton, Acton, Concord, and Carlisle, yes.
Okay, so you're the person I need to find. You're the one I need to get to.
Oh, okay. What's your name?
Because I was at the Concord, Brett, God help. I was at the Concord meeting a few weeks ago, and I've just been having a hard time connecting with somebody officially.
Okay. You know what? Let me give you my phone number and give me a call, Brett, and then we'll figure that out.
Great.
So it's Nancy Heselton, 617-365-5726.
All right. Sorry, just finding a pen. 365.
Oh, okay. 617.
Yep.
365-5726.
5726. Great.
Give me a call after this call, and we'll figure that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Glad you guys were able to connect, and that was a wonderful role play. I hope everyone can unmute themselves and give you a quick round of applause, because that was how it's done. Nancy is a pro. That was
Yay! Nice job.
Really.
Thanks.
Really.
And I have to say,
incredible.
It's never easy. It can be so fun sometimes, and then sometimes it can be really hard. So you just keep plugging, and somebody gives you somebody turns their nose up at you, and you just brush it off. Let it go like water off a duck's back. Just go on. Just keep going. Drink lots of water. Keep eating.
Good advice.
And I thought you were, Nancy,
Yeah.
I thought you did such a good job of catching that I'm somebody in support and enthusiastic about it. There was an opportunity there to possibly bring me in to volunteer. I thought that was really great.
Great, thanks. And you did. And you brought your friends in, too.
Which is really probably what I would do.
Yeah, Bonnie's really like the ideal candidate for someone walking down the street. Really, that was.
I lucked out.
We hope that there's 1 million Bonnies out there on the street, and they're actually there. And I think folks are going to be really surprised when they're out there how receptive other people are to this and signing up. And volunteering.
I think it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question. Ben, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So what about other people that we talk to? Like I have a sister in out of state who she and her husband certainly very much in support of 28th Amendment. Is there some way to direct people who aren't in Massachusetts that we might encounter to plug into their own state efforts?
Yeah, certainly. So, not for this ballot. I mean, if they want to come down and collect signatures here in Massachusetts, that would be great. But if not, if they go to AmericanPromise.net and they go to the Take Action page, and then there is a drop-down menu where it says Organize in Your State. And then when folks fill out that form that they want to volunteer and organize in their state, then we have folks on staff that will then promptly reach out to those folks and tell them how to get involved in that state. So again, it's on AmericanPromise.net. The Take Action button at the top in the drop-down menu, it's Organize in Your State, and then there'll be a nice little form that folks can sign up and let us know that they want to participate and get involved.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions out there before we wrap up?
I'd just like to know if the content at the in-person meetings will essentially be the same as what you've just covered.
It's probably going to be pretty close, but it's going to be probably much better executed. So I recommend that you go, but it's going to be pretty similar slide deck and a lot of the similar content. I think that once we're together in person with folks, I think it'll go a little bit more smoothly, but in general, it'll be a lot of the same content.
Okay, thanks.
And also, you'll have a great opportunity to meet and connect with other neighbors that are out there doing this. And so I think always take that opportunity that we can to connect with other people in person, because it's so important. And again, hopefully it goes a little bit more smoothly on the phone. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, and sometimes I can talk a little bit fast over the phone. So certainly encourage folks to go to the in-person regional ones. There's 4 that have been set up, and those are all on the People Govern Not Money website. Okay, other questions, comments, concerns?
Ben, I think this went quite well.
Oh, thank you for saying that, and thank you for joining. I did too. And, we are often looking for ways to improve the process. So if folks have ideas on how we can do better trainings or streamline the process for signatures or recruit volunteers, would love to have that input as well. Always, a lot of us are quite new to this, as I know some of the folks on this call are. So always ways to improve, and I think that we are going to make history here, because I think the important thing to keep in mind here is that big donors and special interests have really taken over the citizen initiative process, and everyone says that you can't get a question on the ballot without millions of dollars, and we are putting that to the test through this amazing network of incredible citizen leaders like yourself. So big round of applause to all of you on this call, and let's get out there and make this happen, and I'm so excited to be working on this great project with everyone. So thanks to everyone for joining. Again, unmute yourself and give our volunteers an awesome round of applause, and yourself a round of applause. Again, beng@americanpromise.net if you have any questions that I wasn't able to answer, so please feel free to follow up, and we will see everyone out there collecting signatures.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Good
night.
Good night, all.
Bye.